Hi, Laura. Today we've got Laura Argue with us, and she's going to talk to us all about athletic therapy and mindset coaching. Laura is the owner and operator of Baseline Therapy, and she works out of Okotops in her home and also out of the Hub PT in High River. So yeah, Laura, let's just get started. First, let's start with athletic therapy. Can you kind of educate us on what it is and how it's different from physiotherapy? Same but different.
Great question. So first of all, Lisa, thank you so much for having me on, and hi everybody. So athletic therapy, I guess the best way to describe it and the best way to differentiate it between physio is that as athletic therapists, we focus on the musculoskeletal system. So we're almost like musculoskeletal specialists.
Yep.
I guess physio, they have a broader scope. So they would look at things like cardiac, respiratory, that kind of stuff. Whereas athletic therapy, we are solely musculoskeletal. So we work on things like bones and muscles, tendons, ligaments, the brain. Common injuries would be things like fractures, strains, sprains, tendonitis, bursitis, concussions, all of those fun things. And another pretty cool thing about athletic therapy is that there's two components. So there's a clinic component and then a field component. Mm-hmm. So the clinic portion is where I get to see you a lot at the Hub. Not you specifically as a client.
Me too. It's okay.
I meant the clinic spaces in the Hub. And that's where I do assessments and treatments. So using things like ultrasound and TENS and cupping. I do a lot of manual therapy, so different types of massage, fascial release. And then again, I focus a very large part of my practice on concussions. Mm-hmm. And then the field component is where you get to see us standing on the bench or on the sideline. And then we have our pretty cool fanny pack, and we run out to the injured athlete and assess them, make sure they're okay to leave the playing surface, and assess to make sure if they are okay to return to play after, or if not, or if we have to remove them.
Cool. And so from personal experience with an athletic therapist is what I love the most is that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that the mindset is the athlete, the person, general pop, whoever, you continue doing what you were doing, and we try and treat and manipulate and improve while you're still doing that thing that could have been a cause. Because in your training and in your mindset, that's your best way to know if your treatment is working versus stop everything, let it get better, and then you can go back into what you were doing. So I feel like that's a big like top surface level difference between the two. I might be wrong.
I think that's a good point to touch on for sure. Cause you're right. Like as athletic therapists, we definitely, the worst part of our job, I would say, is pulling people from sport or pulling them from what they love to do. Yeah. But yeah, if it's safe, then absolutely we're going to do everything possible to keep them active, to keep them participating in their sport or, being with their team, doing whatever they're doing. Unless, concussion related, or if it's severe, we're obviously not going to put them at risk and
no.
keep them in. But yeah, you're right. We work with them and keep them active.
Yeah, cool.
Well treated.
So then in the Hub, what type of athletes and people do you deal with?
At the Hub?
Yeah.
You know what? I work with a wide range of people. I'm very fortunate that way. Mm-hmm. Like I do see athletes because the Hub is hub of athletes. Yeah.
We've got some.
Yeah. I work with hockey players, dancers. I work with, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, general population, like you were saying too. So could be an office worker, a firefighter, police officer, teacher, weekend warrior.
Recently, you've been working with like a motorcycle injury recovery client as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do some injury-based stuff as well for someone who's still trying to be active in whatever capacity their body allows, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
And working, can I just add this super quick?
Mm-hmm.
So with you guys, I'm very fortunate to have you and then the other coaches and trainers there too. So we, as long as our clients are okay with it, we bounce ideas off each other. So it works so well. I love the environment, so we can progress them and help them out that way. So it's awesome.
I love that integrated support team that we have there, where we're able to even just comfortably in front of the client have that conversation peer to peer, talking about what to stop, what to work on, what to focus on, and then the client hears it and they realize how much invested we are as a whole team and as a collective unit. And so that just helps everybody get that much better as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what got you into becoming an athletic therapist? What drove you there?
Ooh, good question. So growing up, I was always active, right? So I played fastball. I was a figure skater, like a bull in a china shop kind of figure skater. I kickboxed, skied. So, just always active, always on the go. But I think I was fairly fortunate in high school. The love of the human body, anatomy, biology, the sciences drew me in. When I was in university, I went into kinesiology and I worked with the teams at the University of Saskatchewan. So I worked with the men's basketball team and I worked with the football team, and that just solidified everything for me, that I can apply what I'm learning and I get to be around athletes and sports and help them and do everything I want to do. So that basically got my foot in the door, and it's been nonstop and I love it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So then, how many years have you been doing athletic therapy specifically until now?
Probably about 8.5 years.
Okay. So then from that, because we're going to evolve now into the mindset side, you started to see and identify how the emotional system and the limbic structure, the emotional structure of the human brain plays significantly into the physical structure of that human body. So let's talk a little bit about that, how this mindset coaching has now been evolved for you to become like this super mesh of your two skill sets now put into one amazing deliverable.
Aw, thank you.
Well, it's true.
So yeah, mindset coaching, long story short, came to me. I was doing it for myself, loved it. I saw huge changes and transformations. And you're right, I started to identify it within my athletes and really understanding that, athletes are humans and they are under so much pressure, and, like whether it's from school or work, their sport, their coaches, parents, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it may be. But yet they're expected to be on the top of their game every single day at practice, during a game, whatever it may be. So seeing that, and then seeing when they are injured, and also like the thought process and the pressure they have there. They don't want to lose their spot on the team, their position. They want to go back as soon as they can, which I agree, as long as it's safe. But there's so much investment, and I'm learning a lot more about how trauma can manifest in the body, and it stays there and it's suppressed, and then if we don't take care of it, it does manifest into physical ailments. So seeing that part, and then hearing as well, like you hear about the pro athletes and some of their struggles with addiction, or if it does get to a certain extent, suicide, which obviously nobody wants any of that. So mental health actually became a huge part of my heart. So one of the things I'm working on is ending the stigma of mental health in sport. And driving that through the mindset coaching.
That's amazing. So you're helping to create a safe place for athletes, general population, weekend warriors to be like, look, I'm not okay. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not embarrassed to bring it up because I know that that is the chief component for my personal well-being and health. And that is what plays into my performance as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that's huge because I mean, even 5 years ago, that wasn't there. And
Yeah.
it's massive. So and then I probably did some of this stem from your concussion protocol and testing and retraining that you have dealt with as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a connection there too. And I mean, you hear about it, again, with the pro athletes and stuff, right? Where they have suffered multiple concussions and they get to a spot and they can't get out, right, mentally. So finding that outlet or having somebody that they, like you were saying, somebody they feel safe they can talk to. I understand the concussion world and now I understand the mindset world.
Mm-hmm.
So being there for both sides of it, I absolutely love it. Mm-hmm.
And that's vital. And I think I look forward to the day where it's just a normal conversation across the board and people don't feel fearful of just straight up saying, I'm not doing good, versus trying to hint or like lead people towards the conversation or just pulling back and hiding, which is usually how we deal with it. But it's not effective because I mean, we can't read anyone's minds and we are dealing with all of our own stuff as well. So it's incredibly challenging sometimes, short of if you've been with that person constantly and you can read their body language, you don't know what's going on. Also, athletes are amazing actors. They're very good at faking a lot of things and pretending everything's good. And even for injuries, the athletes have years and years of experience of just pushing through an injury and pretending that it's not even there, to the point where sometimes all of a sudden there's massive damage that's been done and they had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had any idea, right? So being able to open up those lines of communication and not probably, I would say, on a bigger scale than what you're doing, unfortunately, but you're a huge cog in the entire wheel to make it work. But taking away that sense of ownership or commodity concepts that hierarchies, organizations have on their athletes as well. Because half the time, that's why athletes don't get open with any of that, is because they're so fearful that they're just going to be discarded the moment they show any sign of weakness. And that needs to go away.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think we are seeing it slowly. Like look at the NHL this past year, how many coaches were fired and, like athletes are stepping forward, which is very important. And it's great to see. I mean, you don't want to see people being fired, but you know what I mean?
Well, you want to
change.
something change. Yeah. So something like, unfortunately, oftentimes, even like the current state we're in right now with the pandemic and everything, oftentimes you have to go through really drastic, hard changes in order for positive things to come from it as well. So speaking of all of that, how, as a mindset coach, are you helping people deal with the trauma that they're actually going through right now with this like freaky, weird, forced staycation that we're all stuck in and the purgatory we're stuck in right now?
Yeah. It's such an interesting time.
Yeah.
So interesting. And what I'm finding too is some people are dealing with it now.
Yeah.
And they're feeling it. They're going through the emotions and whatnot. Some of us aren't going to actually feel it and understand and go through everything until it's over.
Yep.
So it's just going to be interesting too to see the different stages people go through. Mm-hmm. I am working virtually with clients, doing mindset coaching, like how we're doing it on Zoom or FaceTime. A lot, to be honest, there's a lot of anxiety out there. And I completely appreciate it. I understand it. It's the unknown, right?
Totally.
We don't like the unknown. People don't like that. So, it's just totally different times, but yeah. definitely effective. Mindset coaching, though, is definitely effective with it, and the tools that I can use and provide. And yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people are not even choosing, how they're innately responding to the situation. And then like you've got the people who are just like fixers, who are trying to just like change it, fix it, keep going, keep moving. Those will be the ones that are like at the end, you'll be like, I'm so tired, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then you have the other people where they literally have just crawled under a rock and hidden and are protecting what they hold true and important to them, which is so important anyways. And it's,
Yeah.
do you help people with trying to find a balance of like protect what you have and stay safe and stay, you know, within your safety bubble, but know that you need to have forward progress, or that not forward progress, but you need to think a little bit beyond just outside that curtain of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Do you help approach that with people?
Yeah. So once, okay, one big thing with mindset coaching is actually getting to the root of what's causing it. So we might think it is the pandemic, but chances are it's not, right?
Yep.
So there are things that happen in your childhood or teenage years, adult life, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Finding out, getting to that actual root and dealing with that. And then we can deal with everything else afterwards. So the pandemic is really just triggering something
Yeah.
else to happen. So, and then so once we find that root and we go through some sessions, absolutely, I'm providing tools and whatnot so that it's not just, okay, we're done your session, have fun, see ya.
Yeah.
They have homework. They absolutely have homework. And the only way they're going to improve is, I can take them so far, but yeah, they have to also do work on themselves as well too. So yeah, there are definitely rules.
It's a massive difference. So for all the people out there who are watching this, who are like, oh, it's hokey, I don't want to find my inner self and what's going on, and oh, she's gonna make me journal. How do you work around that stuff? There's always somebody. Always.
No, it's true. And, and it's just finding the right tool for the right person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it all plays back to as well, what kind of a learner you are, if you're kinesthetic, if you're visual, if you're auditory. So you're right. Maybe journaling isn't for everybody, but maybe talking and doing a voice message is, or, whatever it is. So yeah, it's just providing the right tool for the right person and their needs and what's going to fit best for them. So I think it's the same as when you provide your programs, right? For your training.
Yeah. Similar.
Client. Yeah.
So then how do you go about finding that with people?
A lot of it is as we're going through the sessions, right? And what comes up through their sessions, then you figure it out and you get to know them and you talk to them and they'll tell you, hopefully they will tell you that, Laura, this doesn't work for me, or, I'm not really a podcast kind of person. I don't want to sit and listen to a podcast. Okay, well, great. Let's come up with alternatives. Let's figure something out. And
cool. So then are you currently working with any athletes who you've been doing like some of the athletic therapy stuff, and now let's say their season ended early, or they don't know if they're going to have a season coming up, like baseball, right? I mean, unfortunately, baseball's pretty much done, I'm going to assume. We have an entire swimming association that is canceled for the entire summer. Are you working with any of those athletes and helping them as an athlete perspective process the sense of loss that they're going through?
Honestly, at this point, I'm not working with specific athletes. I am putting a lot of information out there though, social media, and I will be contacting or connecting with the organization that I work with throughout the season or throughout the winter, the hockey season. But yeah, I definitely, and it's so much to process, right? Like so much. So I am here if there are any athletes out there who want to talk or go through any of this, for sure. But yeah, I will be reaching out specifically here shortly.
Good. And I think that's half the battle for any position where we were once client facing. Touch time with people is reminding them that we might not be physically present but we are actually available in one capacity or another. And just making it so that they know our avenues of how to contact us, right? And how to reach out, and that it's safe to reach out. And we're not going to charge you the moment we pick up the phone. Like,
right.
we
Yeah.
will be humans about this as well.
Yes.
So then right now, obviously given the situation we're in, what do you think, like when you think about, let's start with athletic therapy industry, what is your long-term hope for that industry?
Recognition for sure. We're still a small organization, association. We are growing. But yeah, I think the recognition piece is huge, right? As athletic therapists, we basically, I feel like we work around the clock, right? Like, so during the day, during the day, we may be in the clinic working one-on-one with our clients. And then afternoon, evenings during the week, we're at practice with our teams and athletes. And then weekends, we're on the road or we're at home games with our teams. So, yeah, we're busy people. It's not necessarily recognition like, hey, you did a great job. We're behind the scenes people. We don't like the spotlight, but just more, I think, from bigger industries. So the insurance industries, like that kind of stuff. And even just larger sports organizations and teams and whatnot, like, oh, okay, we have athletic therapists who are highly skilled and sought after. Do we go with them, or do we go, and I'm not bashing anybody.
Oh, no. We'll offer different services, right? So
yeah. Or do we go with somebody who, who's volunteering their time, which I think is awesome and amazing. And we need those people, and have their first aid, which again is awesome. But who do we go with? Do we go with somebody who went to school for 6 years and this is their profession, their career? So I think it's just honestly recognition, education on what we do, who we are. We are out there.
I think from my standpoint, I would like to see a easier, smoother referral system and support system in terms of health coverage, or even doctors referring athletic therapists as an option, as well as physio, not just physio, because sometimes physio is not what the person needs. Just like massage is sometimes not what the person needs. We might like it, but it's not benefiting us. So I think to be able to have like just that roster of people on the list of referral would be so much nicer to see, because then it allows the client to be a little bit more informed and have more options as well, rather than, well, I'm doing my physio because my insurance is paying for it. I'm not happy. So finding the right person would be beautiful. So then in terms of mindset coaching now, what's your hope? How do you see the future after, I don't know, the world opens up again? Any questions?
Mindset coaching, like we were just talking about, right? It's another tool. It's another resource. Just being there for people, knowing that we're out there, knowing that, we want to help. We are there. No, we're not covered by healthcare either. And that's okay. We won't. And that's completely fine.
Gyms are not.
Yeah. So, I think it's just, again, letting people know that we're out there and helping. And like you said too, I mean, mental health is definitely on the rise. And just knowing that you can reach out and people are there to help, and just ending that stigma, that mental stigma,
And I think that is a huge and admirable goal, is just to get rid of that stigma and get people confident and comfortable with being like, I'm not okay and I need help. Crucial. All right. So what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give a brand new practitioner in the field of your choice?
Ooh.
Or both, whichever.
Ooh. Okay. So let's start with athletic therapy.
Okay.
I would say Don't expect it to be a normal 9 to 5 job, because it's not. Your personal life definitely takes a back seat, but knowing how to balance, right? So finding that balance, not burning yourself out, making sure you have you time, taking care of you is number one. If you're not healthy, I mean, you can't take care of your athletes either. Yeah. And just knowing the resources around you is huge. So building those connections like that we have, how we discussed earlier, working with physios or massage therapists or chiros or, other healthcare practitioners, because at the end of the day, you're a team as well too.
Oh.
Yeah. So just knowing who else is out there and who you could potentially refer or work with your clients and athletes.
Cool. Yeah. Fabulous. All right. What book do you recommend everybody go out and read?
Ooh, I don't know if it's appropriate.
Oh, well.
But
I'm going to show it. Shades of Grey.
I'm going to show it here. Just a second.
Okay.
All right. Ready for it?
Ready.
Here it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's, I just finished it last week and it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who can't read it, it's also like a book on tape, so you can listen to it while you're driving.
Yes.
Not that we're driving anywhere. While you're walking everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh, well, Laura, I want to say thank you so much for your commitment to your industry, to your people and your athletes. I watch you work with your people and it moves me every single time. I love how you're flexible and ready to totally shift what your plan is with that session for that athlete based on what their needs at that very moment is, rather than just sticking to the chart or whatever it may be. And I really want to thank you very much for your time and effort today. Not effort, time today, but also your efforts to open up the conversation about mental health across the board for everybody, because it is vital and it's super important for people to be comfortable and confident with being honest about how they're doing and how they're feeling. And then that plays into everything else in your entire life. So thank you very much.
And thank you to Lisa. I appreciate the time and, talking with me, and also a huge thank you to you and your team as well too, for always making me feel so welcome. And it's just so much fun. The atmosphere and the energy at the hub is so amazing. So thank you and everybody there too.
Thank you very much. It takes the community to make it possible. So it's pretty cool to see. So hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I'm going to sign out and say thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you later, Laura.
All right. Thank you.